Hello everybody. Check out this video about SIT. This is the Sterile Insect Technique. So for your homework, I'm going to put the link to this video and one other video in the description. Have a look at it and then let's review it together.
SIT is a type of birth control for insects. Already successful in controlling major crop and livestock insect pests, SIT
Birth control.
is being refined and validated to control mosquitoes. Special factories rear millions of male mosquitoes.
Okay, special factories are breeding all of these male mosquitoes that are sterile. What does this remind you of? This kind of reminds me of the modern male dog owner sitting at home on OnlyFans, spending thousands and thousands of dollars, quote unquote, breeding, but they're not actually breeding. They're just paying money to pretend to breed on screen. And no children are created from this. But this whole concept of rearing a whole bunch of creatures that are sterile and releasing them into the environment, when it comes to humans and dog culture, that's going on right now.
Sterilize them with radiation, and then release them into target areas at regular intervals. They mate with the wild females, but the males are sterile. There are no offspring. When sufficient...
So think about how this applies to dog culture. More and more we have sterility problems. And owning a dog affects our hormones. It affects our motherly instincts. Like, for example, when a mom has a child, when the child is done breastfeeding and is able to walk around and be independent, the mother's hormones start to balance back out. But when you own a dog, your hormones never balance back out. You are in constant mommy mode because a dog is just a perpetual adolescent. It constantly needs you to leash it, clean up after it, wash it, bathe it, take it to doggy daycare, get a Ring camera for it, hurry home for it because it might chew up the couch. All of this permanent adolescent stuff that we need to do for our dogs, it happens all of our life. And so there's a hormone imbalance that's created from dog ownership.
Sterile male mosquitoes are released, each successive generation will have fewer wild mosquitoes, and the population will be suppressed.
Yeah, the population will be suppressed. Doesn't that sound like dog culture? I'd rather get a dog than get a kid. I'm not going to hook up with a guy unless he loves my dogs. I'm not going to hook up with a girl unless he loves my dogs. Everything about dog culture has to have some element of pushing away kids, pushing away adults that we might mate with or breed with, because, dogs are better.
Success will depend on people in villages, towns, and also cities. Collaborating with public
Okay, check this part out. Eliminating the breeding sites for the mosquitoes is part of this whole population control thing. Well, think about what we do in dog culture. We eliminate the breeding sites for our fellow humans, like your bed. So many people just have to have several dogs up in their bed. How can you have a romantic night with your lady or your man when you're leaning over the side of the bed, baby talking your 3 huskies? What do you want, little buddy? What do you need? Hop in the bed and cuddle with daddy. How can you have foreplay? How can you have a beautiful back massage or other types of things that lead to a breeding site when you're sitting there baby talking your dog all day? The couch, the car. Like, it used to be a thing for people to get in their car and go to like an awesome viewpoint, and they would end up making love in the back seat and oftentimes conceiving a child. Motels. People go to motels and they have to listen to the people next to them that have dogs barking. Motels are often places for romantic getaways, yet the breeding sites are constantly more and more and more filled with dogs. Like everywhere, even the public parks, the hospitals, the restaurants. It's so hard to have nice foreplay and just put your hand around someone and look them in the eye, because we're constantly bent over looking at dogs. All of our sites, all of these sites where we get together as fellow humans, more and more they push dogs into those sites. And this is just like the SIT. What they're talking about in this part of the video, you see this pail right here? So you're looking at a pail, and they're saying dump the water out so the mosquitoes can't get in there and breed. Well, that's what dog culture is doing to us. Like, literally, every place we go, there has to be a dog. Barking, breathing, chewing, eating our stuff, stealing our attention, etc., so on and so forth.
Campaigns to eliminate mosquito breeding sites in combination with traditional control methods and the release of sterile males. This integrated management reduces
the release of sterile males. That just makes me think of like the typical beta male, pushover simp, dog loving, I got 2 pit bulls and I'm such a great guy. And but yeah, they don't breed. They're losers. They're douchebags. Their bank account is empty. Their Dodge Charger tires are completely worn out. They got several packs of Marlboro cigarettes that they can't afford. But they got 2 or 3 pit bulls and they're tough and cool and they got a tap out t-shirt. But it's like with this population control, they're sterile. They just go around having a bunch of sex with a bunch of women or looking at OnlyFans, but they don't actually produce any beautiful human offspring. Instead, they spend all of their time and money and resources to surround themselves with dogs.
mosquito population enough to prevent disease transmission and nuisance biting. As there is no environmental pollution, no development of resistance.
Well, there is actually environmental pollution because I'm straying off topic a bit here talking about the mosquitoes. Um, in order to breed all of those sterile males, there is an environmental impact. That's a bit of a side topic, but this whole sterile insect technique, this really reminds me of dog culture. Like, just owning a dog affects your hormones, the head forward posture affects your hormones. And now let's go over to some research links. So here's some of our research links, and they're going to claim like benefits of dog ownership, pet ownership. But notice hormones is in here. Owning a dog is a big effect on your hormones. And your hormones are supposed to be affected by your fellow humans, not by dogs. When you get dopamine, when you get oxytocin, the quote unquote love hormone, that's supposed to be connected with a human relationship, not a dog relationship. And there's a lot of stuff in here where they talk about cortisol, like, oh, owning a pet. Like, if you go into some of these studies, it will say owning a dog or a pet is going to reduce your cortisol. But if you look deeper into these studies, the cortisol was actually caused by owning the dog. Because so many of these dog owners, their cortisol levels, which is a hormone, is connected to your growth hormone and your pituitary gland and all of your reproductive organs. You get that cortisol when you leave home and you know your dog is there. And it's like, oh, I got to get home. What's he doing? Does he need food? Did he run outside? Did he bark at the neighbors? Did he poop? Did he get on my bed? Did he chew up the couch? Dog owners have a high level of cortisol because their dogs are often doing mischief or they're sick. There is another really good study, I'll put it in the description, about how dog owners are constantly worried about dogs because they get sick. Dogs get sick all the time. But the cortisol relief that they talk about in all of these studies, it's a cortisol that was already caused by the dog. So it's like, oh, the people get home and they pet their dog and then, oh, they feel so much better. Well, it's because they were worried about their dog all day. It's like somebody that gambles, or it's like going out on a date with somebody that cannot put their cell phone down. They need to constantly look at their cell phone. More and more dog owners are like this too. They constantly have to get home. There is a Nissan car ad for like a really fast turbocharged car, and in the advertisement it shows puppies are getting loose at home and starting to chew stuff up. So they haul ass in this car. Oh my God, we got to get home. We got to get home because the puppies are doing this stuff. And then when they get home, it's like, oh, we feel better. You know, But the whole thing about that advertisement, it's like if you read deeper in any of these studies, the initial cortisol was actually caused by the ownership of the dog. The relief that the dog provided was actually relieving some dog stress, raising stress in the first place. So the hormone jack of dogs is real. And it's, once you start reading some of these studies and applying it to modern culture, it's pretty obvious. And it affects your ability to reproduce. It affects your testosterone, your sperm count. And as a man, when you have a dog and you treat it like a baby, even though it's an 8, 10, and 12-year-old dog, you are jacking into your mommy hormones and your testosterone levels are compromised. This phenomenon of a hormone balance messing up your ability to reproduce because you have a parasite in your life can easily be found all over nature. For example, the barnacles that crabs have, it affects their hormone balance and therefore their sterility. So when you own a dog and your hormone balance is aimed towards pleasing a dog and worrying about a dog, and otherwise altered by your head forward posture and your constant worry and concern about a dog that you call a baby, even though it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, your hormone balance is being affected. Therefore, you are being subjected to adjustments in your sterility, adjustments that are not good for humanity. So that has been a look at the sterile insect technique. And if you take some time to study it and keyword search the stuff that they're talking about and look at some of those other studies, this really, really, really sounds like dog culture. The effect of hormones, the creating sterile humans that don't want anything to do with raising other humans, yet at the same time they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on several dogs. It kind of sounds like dog culture is just another version of SIT being deployed on the human population.